Mainstream media have acted in a disgusting and immoral manner whilst covering Trump's diagnosis with COVID-19. Any moral person looking at the coverage will do so and feel sick. Those commentators act with barely concealed glee that Trump has fallen ill, considering it an act of divine retribution for the crime of disagreeing with them. Others have sought to blame Trump himself for catching the virus, scrutinising religiously every single movement he's made over the past 2 weeks, every rally and every speech, hand-waving away the fact that the president caught the virus from an aide. This pales in comparison to the left-wing activists they've emboldened. Trump is ill parties to a hate-filled campaign on Twitter that became so severe that Twitter themselves had to step in. It's going to backfire. It's going to backfire hard. This behaviour makes ordinary people, forgive the pun, sick. Today we're going to be analysing the hatred for Donald and Melania and the impact it's having on the American public just 29 days away from the election. But before that, this is Political. My name's Connor Allen. I'm here with Ryan Smith.
Hello, everyone.
Did you enjoy my little pun there?
Oh, your best work, yeah.
And before we get into the article, guys, please do share this if you enjoy it. Drop us a like if you do like the content, and leave us your comment if you like it or if you don't. We want to hear your opinion. And with no further ado, we'll get on into the article.
Yeah, so there has been no shortfall of lip service from left-wing media or left-wing leaning people associated with CNN or Democrats, and usually what they're saying, I mean, it should be a no-brainer, surely, for anyone if your president falls ill or is at serious risk to just say, our thoughts and prayers are with the president. We hope he has a speedy recovery. We hope he recovers well. It's quite simple. You just put aside your bias and you just say it. Right.
Look past the politics and you see the person behind it. This is a father, his wife, it's an entire family, friends. It's tragic. And
you have nothing to gain. You have absolutely nothing to gain by insinuating in any way that you hope the president doesn't do well. Whether or not you're saying whether he dies or whether he's incapacitated for the campaign or whatever it is, you have nothing to gain from it. You just look like a sicko, basically. But having said that, there are still a number of people, some high-profile people as well, mind you, who, I don't know,
apparently they lost their minds, or is it just Twitter? Does Twitter just have this effect on people?
I guess this is it, is that when you have social media, it's just far too easy, isn't it, to just put your opinion out there, like a drunk text to an ex, like oh yeah, just like drunk on rage or drunk on glee, as you say. Oh, the president's really he's got a coronavirus. Just texting away, furiously texting on your phone, put it out there, and then that instant feeling of regret when you realise that, you know, maybe you want to have some kind of career in politics or media and you've just stained it. So yeah, like I said, there's been absolutely no shortfall of it. So Rachel Maddow, she is an experienced journalist. I'm using quotation marks there, but she's an experienced journalist. She knows the drill. She said, God bless the president and the first lady. If you pray, please pray for their speedy and complete recovery and for everyone infected everywhere. Right? Perfect response.
Absolutely.
But a former NBC co-host and contributor, I don't know who this guy is, by the way, but he said, sorry, Rachel, but no, hard pass on praying for that. No need, really, for him to open his mouth on that one. Perhaps the worst one I've seen, Zahra Rahim, former Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama spokeswoman. I just thought she was a staffer, spokeswoman. Tweets a selfie saying this fucking rules and says, it's been against my moral identity to tweet this for the past 4 years, but I hope he dies.
Lovely woman, I'm sure.
Yeah, great. Max Berger, a former Elizabeth Warren campaign staffer, he's got a blue tick, right? So this guy is This guy
verified nobody.
Yeah. Popular Front 2020. He has the name of the party in some draconian one-party communist state, and
that's the name you use if you're a war criminal, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Trump did this to himself. He inflicted this same misfortune upon millions of others. He's a corrupt, white supremacist criminal who's responsible for more American deaths than 9/11 and the wars in Vietnam, Korea, Iraq, and World War I combined. No one should feel bad for him. Can you feel bad for his family, though? Right? Like, when someone dies, it's not just... Like, even if you disagree with them, you just... And also, he's the president. And also, he was democratically elected. So, obviously, a lot of people like him and agree with his policy. And you just... Again, you put aside the hatred that you have for this individual. And you just say, I don't wish death on anyone. This is pretty much a textbook, like, virtuous left-wing thing to believe, which is that you don't wish death upon anyone. If anyone has done anything wrong, then you have faith in justice and law and order, right? You don't become some not necessarily like a vigilante, but you don't go around basically just wishing death on all of your enemies, because what do you have to gain from it?
It's a core tenet of socialism and many other ideologies that people are born good, and they can do evil things. They're shaped to do evil things by their circumstances, but each individual is born inherently good. So why on earth would you want somebody who's inherently born good for their lives to be taken? I think just, when you characterize this person as this kind of modern, trendy leftist who doesn't really understand the ideology, he prefers to spend his time on Twitter, but not a lot. I think this is this kind of guy.
Yeah. And he didn't stop there as well. He's like, I hope everyone will respond to the news that Trump has the virus with the same amount of tact and compassion he would show to you. I hope the virus treats Trump as well as he's treated everyone his whole life. Whose pain matters is a political question. Who we should sympathize with is a political question. Trump has destroyed the lives of millions. He deserves none of our sympathy. He must be quarantining because he doesn't want to pass the hoax on to anyone. This is a former healthcare head. And again, when has Trump called coronavirus a hoax? I don't believe he's ever called coronavirus a hoax. So how has this misinformation sort of disseminated itself to such a wide extent that people just take this for granted now that Trump is calling coronavirus a hoax? He's never done that. Anyone that's listening, find me a video or a tweet or whatever of Trump calling coronavirus a hoax. I don't think it exists.
Putting your money on that. Okay, so there you have it, folks. money on the line here.
Money on the line. But listen, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. So, I'm pretty sure if he did think it was a hoax, that he doesn't think that now. So I don't presume he's going to say it anytime in the future. But before the 4th of October,
he could change your mind. Change your mind on that. You can say it's a hoax, for example, and I'm not saying he has done at the moment for the lefties. Go into the comment section below now. But you can think it's a hoax in December last year. You can't think it's a hoax in May this year. So, time actually matters with this one as well.
Yeah. A congressional candidate in California joined others in wishing death on the POTUS and FLOTUS following their diagnosis.
And it's California, so he probably surged in the polls after that.
Yeah, exactly right. This is
realpolitik.
Yeah, better than any campaign speech or political advert you could do. It's like that guy wished death on Trump. Vote for him. But it's absolutely insane. He's just retweeting. Oh no, he's not retweeting. Is he? Which one is he? Steve Cox. Oh, there we go. Oh God, I don't want to go through all that. No, I'm not. I hope they both... Oh, there we go. No, I'm not. I hope they both die. What? Coming from a congressional candidate, I hope they both die. It's just... That should, under normal circumstance, completely derail anyone's opportunity of being elected to office, right? For in any form of office, wishing death upon people. This man has to go in and make decisions for the American people, for his constituents, right? And he's going around wishing death on people. How the hell can you expect him to uphold the values of American values and the Constitution if he's going around wishing death upon the president? It's
How can he, as a representative of not just the people who voted for him, but the people who didn't vote for him as well, be expected to represent the people who didn't vote for him when he's wishing death upon, the people they're choosing for presidential candidate?
Yeah.
It's unreal, this. And do you think that the mainstream media response has emboldened these people? Because, it's a tidal wave, and we're seeing all of these people are blue ticks. They're not just random people.
Yeah.
Do you think the mainstream media has emboldened these people?
Yeah, I think the mainstream media could have done more so far in the response that I've seen, because they should be calling this out. I think, especially when a lot of it is, former staffers for working in Democratic campaign, some of them former contributors to these news channels. They should be saying, hey, listen, people are going out, there's some sick people out there saying some horrible things. We want to distance ourselves from that officially. And this kind of behavior is totally unacceptable and disgusting. But
and you see in sorry, just before you go on, you see in the articles, okay, even the ones that are saying, are very neutral and saying, oh, the president has coronavirus, and then you see an analysis of all of the president's movements for the last 2 weeks, implying that the rallies are the cause of his infection or something like that, when there have been very low cases of coronavirus in these rallies, very few problems. The problem was an aide passed it on to him.
Yeah, an aide passed it on to him. And since when does the left blame victims?
Well,
was Trump
only
just
when it
asking
suits
for
their political narrative.
Trump was just asking for it, man. He was dressed provocatively, and the coronavirus just...
That's what they're saying. That's exactly what they're saying.
Yeah, it's absolutely... And it just shows how quick many people are to drop their morals when it suits them. And it's just all a facade. All of this virtue signaling is all a facade, because it only applies when it is beneficial to them or a detriment to their enemies. So,
what do you think of this tweet on screen right now? It seems like someone don't want to go back to the debate stage.
Yeah, so I was just going to get out to this. So, it baffles the mind. I've heard this narrative quite a lot, coming just before the first debate. Like, obviously many people thought that Biden would skip debates, and rightfully so, because Nancy Pelosi said she doesn't think he should do the debates. Other high-profile Democrats have said that he has nothing to gain from doing it. And you're right. Like, in many ways, Biden's ability to face scrutiny is questionable. And there's many questions that he does not want to answer directly, and he doesn't want to face, like the Supreme Court, and he doesn't want to face all these issues that split the left. We've spoken about that before, and we know that. So, but what if you believe that Biden is ahead? 8 points or 10 points. I saw a poll apparently today, 14 points. Biden has had 14 points right now. If that's the case,
60 points,
100
points.
What does Trump have to lose from going to debate? How can you twist logic so much that you believe that Biden is ahead by 8 points, 10 points, whatever, but also believe that Trump is trying to skip debates? Like, what does he have to lose by going to the debate? If that's the case, then the debate is the only thing pretty much between now and the election that he can hope to salvage something, right? So it doesn't make any sense. It just seems like a textbook projection. There was a lot of scrutiny on Biden. There still is, because we don't know how obviously he'll turn up in the next two debates. He didn't completely fall apart like he has done when he's been in other interviews, but I think just the odds.
Thank you to Mr. Wallace.
Yeah, the odds say that maybe he will, right? So Trump is going to be eager to go and debate Biden again. Absolutely, 100%.
I mean, it's just the sheer audacity of the implication that after what we saw in the last debate, Donald Trump is somehow scared of debating with Biden, which is what I kind of see the implication from Linda's tweet. I mean, she watched the same debate we did, because I'm fairly certain Biden got absolutely bullied out of that debate. Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, well, go on.
I mean, that just brings me on to another point, the popular perception. So, I mean, what do you think ordinary people see? And I mean, you're not political hacks like us, and to you, the listener, like, you're interested in politics, right? But what do ordinary people think when they see something like these outrage mobs, these hate-filled left-wing mobs?
Obviously, it turns people away, doesn't it? And we've spoken about this before. The best chance that Trump has of, gaining further support between now and the election, is exposing the people in the ranks of this left-wing movement that exists right now. And because there is so much hate there and so much radicalization, I think, as well, like, just from not just from the policy, but just the way that they are and the way that they have this ends justify the means mentality.
And you're so on the ball when you use that word radicalization, because if you are seriously wishing someone's death because you disagree with their politics, you're a radical, you're an extremist, you're no different from Al Qaeda or the IRA. You're literally in the same boat as them.
Sure, but if you point this out to them, they'll just be like, well...
They'll probably call you a racist. And
they'll probably call you a racist. But they'll give you some spiel like, oh, well, yes, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't think this, but Trump is just so evil that it warrants it. And it's like, no, it doesn't work. Like, principles and morals don't work like that. By definition, there are no exceptions. That's what principles and morals are about.
So they're not flexible to suit the situation. Yeah. It's the lens in which you see the world.
Exactly. So it is ridiculous, and I think this, like, just coming on to the point in the title, like, will it backfire? That is one of the components. That's one of the ways in which it can backfire, because it exposes this radical side to the left that we all know exists, and people will be concerned about empowering those people, and rightfully so. And the way that the media as well has just played it up so much, I think. You've got, obviously, the doctors just come out today and said they may even, think about discharging Trump from is it the Walter Reed Hospital? Yeah. Yes. Tomorrow. Which obviously, is great news. It just shows that it obviously it's been, I suppose, I suppose you might say, I'm not an expert, like maybe like a textbook case for someone of his age, like mild to moderate symptoms, a bit of fever, but obviously he's got literally the best medical care in the world. If that is the case, then you say, okay, this is probably about,
and there's that coverage. There's that coverage of him receiving oxygen too. But I mean, if you got any 70-year-old obese man, I mean, and you had to keep them alive at all costs, as they do, the first thing I would do would be pump them full of oxygen, just as a precaution.
They gave him supplemental oxygen because his oxygen blood levels fell a little bit, and then they went back up again, fine. And I think they've only given him like one dose of that. But obviously, he's the president. So they're just gonna do, well, is there anything that might help? Yeah, what are the risks? Low. Okay, well, we'll just do that, which is why they've got him on these experimental things where the risk factors are just low. So they're like, well, we've got lots of potential here, low risk factors, let's just do it.
If you're a doctor, the absolute last thing you want is the president to die on your watch. I mean, as kind of career fails go, that's a pretty huge one.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get any lower than that, didn't you? There's no bigger blemish on your record as a doctor. So I just think, but the way that the media has played it up and it's almost like through wishful thinking, I think. Like they want Trump, maybe not even necessarily to die, but they want him to be incapacitated for as long as possible, because then that's obviously less time he can spend campaigning. And it's objectively obvious that Trump not being on the campaign trail right now is a detriment to him. His rallies are a cornerstone of his campaigning, and he can't do them right now, and that's huge.
And to the people who are saying, oh, well, Biden will stop campaigning too. Yes, but Biden is ahead in a lot of the polls.
Yeah.
So from Biden's perspective, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, but the way the media is playing it up and making it seem worse than it is, that if Trump does recover pretty swiftly, he's going to come out at the end of it looking like a superhero, because all these people have just been listening on the media. Oh, the doctors are misleading you. Trump is actually really ill. He's possibly in intensive care right now. He's on receiving oxygen daily, and all of this. And then, he literally gets discharged from hospital 2 days later. He comes back. He's like, yeah, I'm feeling fine. I'm going doing a rally, and everyone's like, wow, man, Trump, man. What great genes that guy must have. Like, he really took on coronavirus there. He was on the brink of death, and then 2 days later, he's out rallying. What a guy. I mean, I want this guy to be president. And
it plays into this this image of strength that he has. The same happened with Boris Johnson when Boris Johnson caught COVID, for our American listeners.
But
in addition to that, it also makes Trump seem more empathetic. And the left wing for 4 years has tried to characterize Trump as an uncaring and out of touch billionaire who doesn't suffer the same as the poor people, right? But he's suffered coronavirus. It destroys that narrative that he lacks empathy, because he, by definition, has it. He's gone through the same experience.
Yeah, exactly. And, I think they say, there'll be no sympathy vote. We won't know until he actually recovers. Hopefully he will recover soon. And we can just kind of go back to, normal service resumed and get back on, have them both back on the campaign. And it won't affect him. But we won't really know the impacts on that. I think, though, I suspect there are a lot of people who have reservations about voting for Trump because they, believe he is this really callous old man who only cares about himself. And this really humanizes him a little bit. Now, I'm not saying 100% that's going to be right. I think there is the potential for that. And then when you add into that the way that the media has played it up to be more serious than it is, if it isn't as serious as they're saying, and he does recover swiftly, he just looks like a superhero that's just like 74-year-old man, taken on coronavirus, taken on this deadly disease, recovered incredibly quickly, got straight back out there. You think, that man is fit to be president. That's what you would think. That's like, whether you admit it to yourself or not, but that's certainly the image it gives off. It's not the image you get from Biden. Biden comes across as a frail old man. He's 77. He comes across as a very old 77-year-old. That's my opinion, anyway. I don't obviously not everyone necessarily agree, but
you think if Biden catches corona, you kind of have to ask yourself, do you think he's coming out of it? I'm not going to answer that question for you, because unless you have anything to add, Ian, I'm going to wrap it up there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that covers
the main points, right? Thanks very much for listening, guys. We're really appreciative of all the feedback, all the comments, and all the likes and support we've been getting recently. And again, please do remember to subscribe if you did like the content. It helps us out a lot. Thank you very much. See you next time.